In this video, I'm going to show you how we take a bucket of finished compost like this and fertilize this entire field. Let's first discuss the problem, because the problem I'm having is almost certainly the same problem that many of you have. That is, you have a backdrop that looks a whole lot like mine. What do you see? Thorns, thistles, vines. There's not too much of anything you want back here. Now, this represents a forest system, but we're talking about a pasture system. It looked exactly the same. In fact, it looked much, much worse. In fact, I'm going to circle over here and you'll see exactly down here, all that multi-floor rows. It's basically a bank of multi-floor rows that we haven't yet had the sheep and the pigs go through to take care of first. Now, the solutions are, for a lot of people, are to use a bunch of chemicals. That is a road, especially in these times, you don't want to go down, because you're going to have to completely do it over and over and over again. It's a nonstop treadmill. So why not bring to bear the allies that can do all of the work for us? In the previous video that we're going to put up here in the box, in the description box down below and otherwise, we talked about how we made compost extract. Today, and we're going to show you how to do it on a larger scale, or maybe a more laissez-faire approach to applying it. That's exactly what we're going to discuss today. Right off the bat, I want to issue an apology for all the people that requested I do all my videos with my shirt off. Sorry. Anyway, I'm standing on the side of this hill that looked exactly like the one I just showed you. We did all the right things initially, and then we did the wrong things. Things that I've been critical before concerning other homesteaders, how we can be the best thing in the world or the worst. Now, we created all kinds of compaction, overgrazing, you name it, all in the ground that I'm standing on right now. So we had the sheep go through, wipe down everything that was, all the bad stuff that we don't want here. And then what did I do? Put in what you see right here. And in fact, you can hear, if you listen closely, you can hear bees buzzing all over this thing. This place is teeming with every activity imaginable. Butterflies are coming in. But this here is the heavy lifter that I'm using right now, but it's still not complete. That brings me to what we're doing today, because I'm still seeing things that I don't want to see here. For example, this Chinese silvergrass that is still young over here. A few thistles and thorns coming up all throughout here. And with some soil tests that we've conducted in-house, it's telling me we still have a problem with life in the soil. It's still bacterially dominated. So these guys are doing what they're doing. They're adding structure to the soil. But now we're going to lend a helping hand with the method we are going to employ right now. You've seen part of it in the previous video. Now we're going to take you all the way through. This is going to seem like the most sensible option for most people out there. And for some applications, it might make perfect sense, especially if you're in a residential lot, or maybe not. We're going to show you a method right now, DIY, with the stuff we have on hand, on how to make our lives a little bit efficient and at the same time get all of the necessary treatment over this whole area without having to walk back and forth, creating even more compaction, walking up and down it, and destroying my buckwheat and cowpea on the way. Let's talk about the components. Now, I don't need to remind everybody the times we live in where your money is worth even less. So there is a greater emphasis for all of us to use the things that we have on hand to be able to make systems that we need to operate a certain way. Case in point is this 100-gallon tub that I got right here. We've used it from everything from raising chicks as a brooder to using it for animals. My niece Kendra, she's used it as a cold water bath. I mean, when she was doing some Wim Hof stuff. I mean, think about those things where you can use for multiple purposes, because we got to have them. Now, believe me, I've gone to town and I've seen exactly what it would cost to get a 300-gallon tank, or you name it, this and that. The prices on everything are literally, in some cases, 5 times higher than what they were even a year ago. And I'm talking about things that hold water. So think about those things on hand. Now, what I have is basically this 100-gallon tub, a length of hose, and you'll notice that there's no 90-degree turns in anything I got here. We'll come to that in a minute. I got a length of hose basically coming out of here into this utility pump that basically, if you have a farm or anything like it, you can find one inexpensively in a lot of different places. Doesn't have to be anything high speed. And then of course the discharge, which is going over to a sprinkler. Now, it is of profound value. Once again, you make sure there are no 90-degree turns in things, but also you take out any filters you may have along the way. You may want to put them back, but I'll leave them out anyway, and I'll come to that, like I said, later. You may be in a position where I am, where there's literally 1,000 feet elevation from the bottom of my property to the top. I could use that to create the water pressure I need to run that sprinkler. That's how we're going to get that stuff out. We'll come to all those details a little bit later, but that in a nutshell is everything I'm going to use today to make my life easier and to get the microorganisms I need out on that pasture. I am going to transform this humble bucket of bomb compost, it's a little bit rough, but it's supposed to be right now, into compost extract. Now, if you want some instruction on how to do that, watch the video that we've done a little while ago that shows you all that. No need to rehash all of it. So let's get that done. Alrighty. What you didn't see, what you didn't catch on camera, is I gave it a little bit of a lunch box on the way out. Remember, this is compost extract, not compost tea. I want it to be able to go down in the soil, permeate the soil, and here's the best part. I always try to do something like this after it rains, because now that the ground is already moist, this stuff is basically going to have pathways that are already kind of set up for it to really get down where I need it to go. And if you're in that situation also, if let's say the ground is as hard as woodpecker lips, well, you may have to go out there and do something to work it up. In our case, in certain parts, we're going to actually go out there with a broad fork, but that'll be another application altogether. Maybe we'll cover that. This is complete. I'm not going to sit on it very long. And as I showed you before, one of the defects of this setup is, well, I'm not going to go through all that again. Basically, I'm just going to disconnect it here. As I put it in here, believe it or not, I want it to land as gently as possible. Because, and in fact, I'm going to get to the point where the microorganisms, I don't want them going splat up against the side of this container. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I'm deadly serious. I want to be able to make that transition as easy as possible. I don't want to be losing my microorganisms to impact damage. Right here is a 100-gallon tank, as we talked about before. Now, if I have really, really, really good stuff, a gallon of this stuff could go an entire acre. Well, this is really, really good stuff. But first you want to identify what the problems are. The reason I'm having the problems here in the first place is because it's bacterially dominated. And there isn't any compaction problems, not up here. I know, because I went out here with a compaction meter and ran that thing plumb to the ground. My problem is the bacteria in this soil right now basically have no predators. And that's exactly what I'm going to introduce right here in these buckets. One would be sufficient. I'm putting in 3. Here's the reasons. We got bacteria. Okay, we don't need any more of those. And what we're adding are the predators that are going to eat those bacteria, like the nematodes. Tons of protozoa in this mix. I mean, we're not hurting on either one of them. And here's something else that this sorely needs over here, because we're going to ultimately want a 50-50 combination between our bacteria and our fungus. Well, we got tons of great fungus in here. Under the microscope, it looks fantastic. Everything's doing good. So now at this point, doing it the DIY thing without spending any extra money, I'm basically going to dump, instead of just that 5-gallon, oh no, here's 10. And then now here's 15. That leaves me 10 gallons that I can do with other things. So I'm getting a bunch of bang for my buck here. That was off of, just think about that, y'all. This is off of one bucket, 5-gallon bucket of compost. Now what we're gonna do is just open up our valve here on this tank that we already had. And it's time to turn this bad boy on. So I already got it primed, ready to rock. Let's take a look down here and I'll talk about what it's doing. Every one of these things usually comes with some kind of filter on there, so I'll take that off. Here's the idea. As I stated before, where I don't want to be beating up my microorganisms, you want to make sure this isn't smashing your microorganisms, and it's not, because it's not coming out too far. And you want to, as best you can, to avoid 90-degree terms. In this whole system, the only compromising element is what's coming out of the end of here. So basically, my guys are being shot out of the cannon. They're landing down here. They're seeping into the soil. And the best part is right now you got a little bit of sunlight trying to break through. The bigger thing is it just rained. And now the soil is already soft. I'm going to let this go where it is right now. I'm going to let it go for maybe 5 minutes, a little bit more. Then I'm going to take this whole rig. I've already done everything down that way in an application you didn't see. So the idea is to keep running down this way, y'all. Look, basically, this is exactly what I don't want to do is let my enemy, these unfriendly weed regimes, find a way right back in. The thing is, if all I did was ran my animals through here, yeah, I would recover it if I gave it the right amount of rest. What's important to me is to make enormous progress in the shortest amount of time, and that's why I use the animals, came in, seeded things that I know would help add structure to the soil, like buckwheat and cowpea. You can see all the buckwheat right here up front, and there's tons of cowpea out there. And now I am giving everything that's beneficial the life it needs in this compost extract to outcompete the unfriendly weed regimes. Already in a single season, y'all, the progress we're seeing so far is nothing short of astonishing. And this is one cool thing about having this YouTube channel, is that I can chronicle this stuff in real time, so nobody can think that I'm pulling a fast one, because I'm not. If you really think about it, it's really not much different than making bone broth. You're taking the carcass of a chicken and you're really stretching it out to maybe get a gallon and a half of stock when it's all said and done. That's exactly what you're doing here to a certain extent. I'm extracting those microbes from that compost, getting it into a 100-gallon solution. In fact, I made enough here to make at least 500 gallons worth, especially at the concentrations that we have. And then you can use that to take very limited piles of really good compost that you have and make it go a long way. And that's exactly the reason we're doing it right now. I don't even know how many compost piles down there, but the only one that is absolutely 100% ready to rock and roll and sitting at ambient temperature is the one I'm using right now. So instead of spending all of that top dressing my beds and all the other things, which is happening, I can get all of the above. Think about it. I'm now able to get these pastures squared away in a single season, just using the animals, good management, a little bit of seeding, and then coming back and fortifying, basically giving a resupply to my allies. That's exactly what I'm doing here. And then I still have, like right now I use 15 gallons in here. I have another 10 gallons that I'm going to use to put over my trees and the other things out here that love a fungal environment, and it's going to be for them as well. So hopefully this was a blessing to y'all. This is a fantastic way to really make a small piece of something go a very, very long way. And I'd be remiss if I didn't give a hat tip to Dr. Elaine Ingham for teaching us these methods. Want to give them a shout out at Soil Food Web. Be sure to go out there and check out their information. But hey, you gotta love it. All right, y'all, if you need anything from us, bone sauce, comfrey, any of the above, go check us out at the website, which by the way is being revamped as we speak. And check out the stuff down below. Hopefully this was a blessing to you. Until next time, this is Billy from Perma Pastures Farm, where permaculture is my passion. And this is part of it. We'll see y'all next time.